What's up, Wiffles? This is Isaiah, and today's video is going to be based on my personal review and thoughts on the Recess Pickleball paddle. Thank you so much for Jimmy Young requesting for my thoughts and further information on it, so let's get into it.
Don't want to mislead, this is all you need, be your everything.
Alright, so in this video I'm going to break up my thoughts or review in 4 different categories, which will be brand, look, utility, and overall my general thoughts on the paddle. Of course, how you feel about a paddle is subjective to you. I may like one paddle, you may hate the same paddle, and vice versa, and that goes across the board with all paddles that are out there. And then stick to the end of the video. I'm going to be sharing what the next video of this week will be posted and will be based on, and I think you'll be excited about it, so stick to the end so you can hear about what that video is going to be about. Alright, so the brand of Recess Pickleball. I kind of shared a little bit what my thoughts were on it, but I'll go in a little bit deeper dive. So as you see here is that the brand is very, very bright, very clean, very aesthetic, very nice and young and hip, and you know, when you look on their Instagram, when you look on their website, it all has this they did a great job with their branding, number one. It's a little bit of a different vibe than when you're looking at Engage, Selkirk, Franklin, Yola. You know, they're all a little bit more, those are catered more for athletics. People would be more competitive, a little bit more serious. This is a little bit of a different direction, which is not necessarily bad. Not everyone goes and they go to play competitive. So it really is depending on what you like. So yeah, it's not necessarily something that I'm necessarily drawn into, but I know that there are some people who are. So all right, now for the look of the Recess Pickleball paddle. Now they have quite a few different styles. They're all the same exact paddle, but they're all a little bit different in the art on top of the surface. So like I said before, since their brand is a little bit more aesthetic, they have some artistic designs, because that's not really what I go for. I went the most plain Jane one, which I think is still on their website. It is the Zion. Since I received this paddle, Recess Pickleball has added their sport versions, which is the elongated, where this one right here is a shorter handle. They have the 5.5 inch with the shorter, smaller surface. But overall, the look of this paddle, right? As you can see, very monochrome, right? They kept this one very plain. Some other ones that I'll show you from the website, they have an artistic look to it. Again, like I said, not really my thing, but some people like it. Overall, with this look, they went with the Zion. And most of their paddles prior to releasing the sport is that they are all the standard average pickleball paddle size, which is I think 16 by 8 inches, which is a 5-inch handle, and then the rest is obviously covered by the surface with a 16 millimeter width, right? So that's the look. Right? The look is, you know, pretty simple. It's not sport driven. You know, there's not an all black one. You know, there's not these crazy vibrant colors. You know, black is a really popular color for paddles, but yeah, this is very monochrome, very sleek, very clean. The utility of this paddle, how I felt about how the control was, the power, I'm going to talk about that right here. First, I'm going to start with the control. And I'm going to show a few clips as I talk about this. I actually really felt like just out of the box, I didn't add any lead tape, didn't change the grip, just took it stock for what it is. I felt that I was able to get almost every third shot drop that I wanted, which I was pleasantly surprised by. I think looking at this out of the box, you know, I just kind of assumed maybe there's nothing special about it, more very beginner, but I was actually really surprised. It definitely played more of an intermediate paddle, not necessarily a professional up there, but also not that beginner, you know, wooden paddle, not something you're going to find like Walmart or Target or even Amazon. It's definitely a little bit right above there. So definitely really good for intermediate players working on their control. I thought this was, you know, phenomenal with control. Almost every single dink I was able to get. Overall, I mean, even to my everyday paddle, I don't even feel like I have anywhere near the same control as I do when I play with this one. Overall, I would say that this gets a 4 out of 5 on control. So generally with this paddle, I don't really feel like the power is necessarily the highlight of what this paddle, you know, gives you. You definitely can, you know, get a good few whips in there, but you got to put a lot of effort into it. I did feel like my overheads, which is kind of contradicting, but I really felt like my overheads, I was able to get a really good whip, really hard for it to return. I would say that the power on this paddle is about a 3 out of 5 rating. I would say that you could get you could get some really good power, really good whips, really good spin, but you got to put quite a bit of effort into it. And that's why I feel, going back to what I was saying earlier, that this paddle might be more in the intermediate, maybe 3.0, maybe you level up at 3.5 with a new paddle. But I would say, for most players, where they go wrong is that they're always trying to work on power, when really I think what's crucial is working on your control, your dinks, your resets, reading the game and where to stand at certain points, when to move back, when to move forward. And I really feel like because this paddle does so well on the control side, this is like a great intermediate paddle. And then when you start working on, whipping the ball more and trying to work on your power and, making it hard for people to defend when you're going in those rally fights, then I feel like maybe looking at another paddle is maybe recommended. But I do feel like in quickness, this paddle is really light. I believe it's 7.4 ounces, something like that. I do feel like this, that the weight, just like stock weight, gets a 4 out of 5. I really felt like compared to my Ben Johns Franklin paddle, I'm able to really move my hands a lot quicker in these rally fights. I don't really lose the ball as much. What felt good, the only con to that is that because there's not a lot of power, those rally back and forth were really easy to return for my opponents. Now this handle is very interesting. I've always liked the 5.5 inch handle, but just when playing with this paddle, I really felt like I'm starting to like the 5-inch handle. Really felt like I'm able to move my hands a lot quicker. Right, I feel like when I'm able to do a top spin, I have a lot more control. I'm able to get it in the right place as I want it to. And again, this is just for me. This is, my review, my feelings off of that. Now, the grip that they put on there, typically every paddle I've bought in so far, I would replace the grip almost immediately because I usually don't like it. But this grip is actually pretty nice, and I have a pretty sweaty hand, as I'm playing, so typically I end up having to rewrap my paddles pretty often. And I actually really felt like this one kept my hand not necessarily dry, but when I'm actually holding it, no matter how sweaty my hand was, really hard ball came at me, my paddle wouldn't, do this because my hand was slippery. So that is always a nice little added thing to it. So I really felt like the handle gets a 5 out of 5. Stock handle, this grip gets a 5 out of 5. All right, so my overall review on this paddle is that I probably will not play with this paddle on a regular basis. With that said, I do think that it is a great, phenomenal, intermediate paddle to play with. The price tag is around $80-something, right? You're not breaking the bank by getting up to that $200, but you're also not getting the super cheap wooden or just like not very great Walmart Target paddles that break really quickly. It's very nice, very light, very good control for new intermediate players that are working on the basics of dinking, resetting, and just having good control, not, hitting the ball and the ball just, pops right off the paddle, goes out of bounds. You don't want that. Of course, you want to be able to learn how to control the ball. When it comes to you, obviously, you want to outlast your opponents. You don't want to be giving away points. What better way than working on your control? And I think this paddle really does a great job of that. Like I said, the con is that on the power side, it's not really all there. You got to put a lot of effort into, really whipping it. Of course, I'm coming from a place of talking where I play more competitive, right? I'm not out there with a bunch of friends, wearing jeans and polos and, badminton on the beach, family style. Like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm going out there, gym shorts, sweating my ass off and, really trying to win every single game, win every single point. That's what I go out there to play with. If you're an intermediate player and you're looking for a new paddle, I think this is a great paddle to start with, especially if you're having a hard time with your control. I think this is highly recommended. All right, thank you so much for watching this video on this review for the Recess Pickleball paddle. If you are an intermediate player, I highly recommend you go check out this company. I do have a link below. They do have a 30-day return policy, I believe, where you can get it, try it if you don't like it, and return it. I do think it's a great intermediate paddle. Work on that control, really get your game down, and then, then move on and try a power paddle or something like that. And later this week, I'm also coming out with another video, a second video for the week, and it will be based on a Christmas list for all pickleball players. So if you're looking to get Christmas presents for someone and it be based on pickleball, I have a video coming out for that. Stay tuned.
Don't want to mislead. This is all you need. Be your everything, and I'll be your everything.